Before parenting manuals, before strict rules and schedules, before children were raised behind closed doors, they were raised by a village. A world where every adult was a teacher, every child belonged to the community, and growing up meant learning how to live well with others. This is the story of Native American family, parenting, and community. Chapter 1. Family beyond the household. In many Native American societies, family extended far beyond parents and children. Kinship included grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and trusted community members who all shared responsibility for nurturing the next generation. Children were never raised in isolation. They grew up surrounded by guidance, protection, and a deep sense of belonging. Every adult carried a role, as teacher, protector, storyteller, or helper, and every child knew they were supported by many hands. This system created security and resilience. If one caregiver struggled, others stepped in. Love and discipline were shared, ensuring balance rather than burden. No one carried the weight of child rearing alone. Family was not defined by walls or blood alone. It was defined by commitment, and raising a child was understood as a collective responsibility. Chapter 2. Children as part of community life. Children were not separated from the life of the community. They were woven into it. From an early age, children observed adults working, preparing food, crafting tools, caring for one another, and participating in ceremonies. They were invited to help in ways suited to their age, learning through presence rather than instruction. Learning happened naturally. Skills, values, and responsibility were absorbed through daily experience. Children were trusted to grow at their own pace, guided by patience rather than pressure. Mistakes were seen as part of learning, not as failures. Through participation, children developed confidence, awareness, and a sense of belonging. They were not trained to compete. They were taught to contribute. Chapter 3. Parenting through guidance, not force. Parenting was guided by patience rather than punishment. Discipline was rarely harsh or authoritarian. Instead of control, adults focused on teaching understanding. Elders and parents used storytelling, example, and gentle correction to guide behavior. Children learned through observation and experience, discovering the natural consequences of their actions rather than fearing imposed penalties. Shame was carefully avoided, as it was believed to harm the spirit and weaken trust. A child's dignity was protected, even in moments of correction. Guidance was offered privately and respectfully, allowing children to learn without humiliation. Respect was not demanded through fear. It was cultivated through consistency, kindness, and example. In this way, children grew into adults who understood responsibility, not because they were forced, but because they were trusted. Chapter 4. Independence and confidence. Native American parenting placed strong emphasis on independence. Children were encouraged to explore their surroundings, make choices, and learn through direct experience. Trust was essential. Adults allowed children the freedom to try, knowing that growth required space. At the same time, guidance and watchful care provided safety, ensuring that exploration did not become harm. Mistakes were understood as part of learning. Rather than being discouraged, children were supported in reflecting on their actions and adjusting their behavior. This balance between freedom and guidance nurtured confidence rather than fear. Through this approach, children developed resilience. They learned to trust themselves while respecting others. They understood that freedom and responsibility walk together. Chapter 5. The role of grandparents and elders. Grandparents and elders held a central place in raising children. Their presence brought patience, perspective, and continuity. They passed down stories, history, language, and spiritual teachings, not as lessons to be memorized, but as living knowledge woven into daily life. Through stories and shared moments, children learned who they were and where they came from. Elders connected the young to their ancestors and to the values that shaped the community. Their guidance offered stability, reminding children that they were part of something larger than themselves. Wisdom flowed across generations, unbroken, and through elders, identity was preserved, nurtured, and carried forward. Chapter 6. Values taught through daily life. Values were not taught through lectures or rules. They were learned through daily life. Children absorbed respect by seeing it practiced between adults. They learned generosity by watching food, time, and care shared freely. Courage was understood not through words, but through actions, through resilience in hardship and calm in uncertainty. Community life itself became the classroom. Every interaction carried a lesson, and every responsibility reinforced belonging. Children learned that values were not ideas to talk about, but principles to live by. In this way, character was formed naturally, not through instruction, but through example. Chapter 7. Disruption and Loss. Colonization deeply disrupted Native American family systems. Children were taken from their families, and traditional parenting practices were attacked, banned, or dismissed as inferior. Generational bonds that once provided stability and identity were broken. Languages were silenced. Stories were interrupted. The harm extended beyond individuals, affecting entire communities and future generations. The damage was profound, emotional, cultural, and spiritual. Yet memory endured. Knowledge survived in quiet ways, in whispered stories, in songs, in remembered teachings passed on despite oppression. Even when families were separated, the values of care, respect, and shared responsibility remained alive within the people. What was disrupted was not erased. It waited to be remembered, reclaimed, and restored. Chapter 8. Healing and Continuity Today. Today, many Native American communities are reclaiming traditional parenting values rooted in care, patience, and shared responsibility. Through language revitalization efforts, cultural programs, and community gatherings, intergenerational bonds that were once disrupted are being restored. Elders, parents, and children are reconnecting through stories, ceremony, and daily practice. What was interrupted is being remembered. What was silenced is being spoken again. Families are finding strength in continuity rather than isolation. Healing is not instant, but it is ongoing. It happens through reconnection to language, culture, and one another. The village is returning, and with it, a renewed sense of belonging, identity, and care for future generations. Closing reflection. Perhaps children were never meant to grow alone. Perhaps they were meant to grow surrounded by care, guidance, and belonging. Welcome to Mode Hub Tales,